Um, all right, so Microsoft Whiteboard. I think the official title on the event is not just in Teams, um, but Microsoft Whiteboard, if you haven't used it, is a new way to create and collaborate in the cloud. It is a whiteboard created by Microsoft. Done. Topic's done. Now we all know everything. Um, so I'm Jonathan Weaver. There's my Twitter. There's my blog. I use them every once in a while. Um, Welcome to the Microsoft 365 Friday, California 2021 event. If this is when you're just tuning in, and if you've been here for the last few hours, glad you're still here. That's awesome. Seems like it's been a great event so far, and looking at the schedule, we've got a lot of great content coming through the rest of the day. Since we're down to it's only a 45-minute session, I'm going to kind of cruise right on through. I am a SharePoint consultant and Power Platform consultant through Smarter Consulting. My wife, Sharon Weaver, owns Smarter Consulting. I also have a Twitter down here below the picture at Whiteboard MVP. That is purely about Whiteboard. And as I was telling Galen before the session started, I don't tweet very often because I'm not the social media person. But check out Smarter Consulting at Smarter Consult 1. They do tweet, and Smarter Consulting also runs the Kansas City Office 365 Microsoft 365 user group, which is fully remote. So feel free to jump into the Smarter Consulting Twitter and check on that. Additionally, if you would like more information about Smarter Consulting, or you would like to be added to the distribution list so you know when the user group meetings are, scan that QR code. I'll leave that up here for just a minute while I brag about my shirt. I'm wearing my Whiteboard shirt, and because Whiteboard isn't a fully monetized product of Microsoft's, I had to make my own swag, so that's what that picture is right there. Those were the shirts that I made when I would present. All right, I'm going to move away from the QR code, so if you want it, grab it now. If not, I'll put it back up at the end. So who am I? Why am I here? Why am I talking? Why does it matter? I'm Jonathan Weaver. Got an email address, a Twitter, a blog. I've been a SharePoint consultant and solution architect for a while. I have a day job at our local water district, and then I work evenings and weekends for my wife at Smarter Consulting. I've been in IT for over 20 years. I was at Gateway 2000 helping people upgrade to Windows 95 back in the day. I've been all the different roles: developer, BA, QA, SharePoint, now Power Platform, now Whiteboard, genius. I'm into logic puzzles. That's my stress reliever, is doing Sudoku, Rubik's Cubes. If you ever see me in person at an event, ask me to check out the Rubik's Cubes. I always have a couple of different ones in my backpack to show off. But the logic led me into workflows, forms, and business process management. So Sharon got into the SharePoint world and dragged me in kicking and screaming to help her with her workflows and forms. And then I just never left. So that's me in a nutshell. Quickly moving on. What is Microsoft Whiteboard? Whiteboard is actually what we're presenting in right now. So this whole presentation is in Whiteboard. There are no PowerPoint going on here. But Whiteboard is a free-form intelligent canvas for people to ideate, iterate, and work together in person and remotely across multiple devices. It's an electronic whiteboard. That's it. The easy version, it's an electronic whiteboard. It's on your computer, and you can share it with other people, and multiple people can be working in it at the same time. All right. And let's go. Zooming out just a skosh, and we'll come back over here. We got to make sure that we show the slides. Microsoft 365 Friday, California 2021. That's today. And thanks to the sponsors. Without the sponsors, nobody wins prizes. And since we know how important the prizes are, we got to make sure we thank the sponsors. This is a great group of sponsors. They sponsor a lot of events in the California area, so make sure you thank them. I'm sure there's somewhere that you can go in and talk to them, say hi to them, check out their Twitters, check some of them have Facebooks. Make sure you go say hi to them, thank them for sponsoring these events. They're truly, these events wouldn't happen without the sponsors. And while you're at it, make sure you thank Galen and Ryan and Joel, because again, without them, the technical side of this wouldn't happen. All right, let's jump right into Whiteboard. So first thing I'm going to point out is that I can zoom in and out just simply by double clicking with my finger. So I'm tapping on my screen like this, zooming in and out. All right. Second thing is, if you can see my video, I'm using a pen. I'm using the Microsoft Surface pen stylus thing. Whiteboard is designed specifically for using a stylus. You can use your pen, or your finger. You can use your mouse. You can use your trackpad on your keyboard if you need to for different functions based on specifically what you're doing. But it is primarily designed to be used with a pen. Also, if you see me looking over, I've got the video running on the other screen. So just making sure that you can see me and it's not glitching out like that. So quickly, it's a whiteboard. I said that. I'll say it a few more times. It's a whiteboard. Just like your whiteboard at the office, down at the bottom, down here, you've got a tool tray. So you can change your colors. You got different colored markers, blue, red. And if you have a specific color that you like to use frequently, you can click that little dot and say you really like the light blue better than the dark blue, and it will change the marker to light blue. This one's fun. It's a rainbow. And this one's fun. This is actually the NASA color. So all those little white spots in there are stars. Those are actual stars from the galaxy, because this is a NASA thing. And I mean, why wouldn't you want to have that? And of course, we can highlight. And then we have an eraser. And something I'll point out with the eraser, if you just start slow, it's a little eraser. The faster you get, the bigger the eraser gets. So it's pretty cool. It's like they were thinking about it. All right, next up is a ruler. I love this feature. How many people have ever tried to draw straight lines on a whiteboard? Now I can draw straight lines on a whiteboard. Or I can draw a 23-degree angle. Great for algebra class or geometry class. Microsoft has spent a lot of time making sure that the whiteboard is really useful for the EDU space. Teachers are using this daily, especially now with COVID and all of the remote schooling. The teachers are having to find ways to interact with the students and still be able to do things like this. And then to get rid of the ruler, you just tap on the ruler again. This next thing kind of looks like a rope. It is a rope. It's called the lasso tool. You click on that, and then you highlight an area, and now that area becomes movable. Something to point out with this, if I just want the X here in the middle, I can grab just the X, and it will only take the parts that are fully enclosed in the lasso. So if I don't circle the whole lasso, it will not pick it up, or the whole item. If I circle the whole item, it will pick it up that way. All right. Before we get to that little menu, let's go. We have a spot where we can type. This is the little A down on the toolbar. Hello. And look, it types it kind of like a handwriting type of font. We can add sticky notes. And we'll get into the sticky notes more in a little bit. We can also add pictures. Let's erase these two arrows. Now, a picture you can add from the library on your device. You can add it from the camera. So when I do this presentation in person, I'll usually pick my Surface up, take a picture of the people in the attendance, and post that picture. Or you can look at Bing image pictures. Now, while we're on the Bing image search, you notice it says write to search. So I use my pen, still using the pen. And we'll find some horse pictures. Let's go with this one. Tap it again for a plus. Let's resize it just a little bit. And now, like any good grade schooler, we're going to draw on the picture. We're going to give him glasses. Maybe put a lightning bolt on his head. Maybe we'll call him Horsey Potter, because that's what we do with whiteboards, right? All right, there's Horsey Potter. Everyone can say you've seen Horsey Potter.
You need someone to laugh at your jokes.
Yes, I need someone to unmute. Potter Horsey 1. That's his Twitter handle, by the way. I also don't tweet there either.
That's awesome.
I mean, it's all right. I laugh at my own jokes because I learned a long time ago one of the Beatitudes from the Bible. It says, "Blessed is he who can laugh at himself, for he shall never cease to be amused."
Nice.
Yeah, it's in there. I promise. It's in there somewhere. Don't search for it. All right, so there's Horsey Potter. I have promised certain people that Horsey Potter will be in every whiteboard session. So, all right, so that's how pictures work. Now, the cool thing with that is once we've got that all on the picture, it stays as part of the picture. Obviously, there are specific limitations, like that text at the bottom didn't stay with it. But that's really nice. You can take that and move it around, and you don't have to redraw it. I mean, how many times have you been on a whiteboard in the conference center and in conference room? You draw on the whiteboard, and then you try to move it over to another side, and of course, you can't. You have to erase it and rewrite it over there, or you just have to move to a different section, which is a perfect opportunity for me to point out that this whiteboard has unlimited size. I'm sure there's an actual limit somewhere, but I haven't found it yet. And as you write over to the side, it will grow with you when you zoom in. Okay, so it doesn't want to do that today. That's good to know. It wouldn't be a Microsoft presentation if it all worked perfectly. All right, so let's see, 15. Cool, we're good. All right, so the plus, we of course have an undo and a redo button. This plus, we have an insert menu. This is really cool. So there's some template-y type things here. The note grid, which gives you literally a grid of sticky notes. We've got a list where you can type list tasks. And when I talked to the product team, I said, hey, wouldn't it be cool if that could transition into the to-do app? And they said, wouldn't that be cool? Keep an eye out. It'll happen eventually. So eventually we'll be able to make tasks or lists in Whiteboard and magically put those into individual people's to-do lists. That's going to be amazing when that happens. Let's get rid of both of those. Now, one of the things I'm really excited about is these bottom 3 features. We'll come back to template because there's a lot there. But this PDF, Word doc, and PowerPoint document, this is amazing. If you guys have used inside of Microsoft Word, there's a feature called Tap. And in that, you can do this same functionality that we're about to do. So watch this. My boss sends, oh, my boss, the event coordinators sent us a PowerPoint slide that has all of the templates that we can use in it for this presentation. And if I was using a PowerPoint for this presentation, I would have used a lot of these slides. But we just want to pull a specific slide out, and you might recognize this from at the beginning. I can grab just that slide out of the PowerPoint. What if they sent me a PDF because they don't want you actually editing it? That's cool too. I saved the same PowerPoint as a PDF, so you can look at the PDF and you can do the same thing. You can pull specific slides out and put them onto your whiteboard. Now, if you haven't already thought of a use case for this, I'm shocked. But let me point another use case out. The marketing department has a website, and you're the IT people. You're on the project team to revamp the website. They send out a PDF or a PowerPoint or a Word doc with all of the pictures of pages that they already have on their website. You drop them all into Whiteboard and you start marking it up. Like maybe we wanted to move this one down here, and maybe IT Prove should move up there, and maybe Pixel Mill we should move over to the left. Things like that. And now we have a permanent record of the changes that we've discussed. That said, we haven't even talked about the collaboration piece of this yet. So we're just still talking about the specific tools. So this is the collaboration track. So of course we need to be talking about collaboration and working together. Up at the top right up here, this is our excuse me, this is our collaboration panel. You can see here that I'm logged in, and the blue button is the share with other people button, and the gray circles tells you that someone it's already been shared, and we can see who it's been shared with. So this particular whiteboard has been shared with Lindsay, Angela, Sharon, and Julie, and they may or may not be on right now. I haven't looked. But where that really works, I told you we'd come back to the templates. Let's erase these circles. This is how we invite other people. Say we want to invite Lee. We just write it with the pen, click on it. And we can also say, I only want Lee to be able to watch. This is a big deal for the EDU space. Teachers use this. They'll start with all of the students in read-only mode while they go through like the math lesson or the English lesson, and then they'll set people to edit mode when they're ready for that person to participate. So to do that, we have the roster, and you can see right here that Lee is in read-only mode while everyone else is in can edit mode. And you can literally switch them back and forth from right here with the pen or with your finger. And it takes just a moment. You can also, if they didn't get the invitation or they just don't understand where it is, you can resend the invitation to their email, and you can also remove the participant. So that person is no longer needed in this session. All right, so let's check out these templates. These are really cool, and this is where we really start to collaborate. This is also where we'll find out if any of those people are online right now. So Microsoft has built a lot of templates. We're going to kind of speed through them because we don't have a ton of time today. But you can see all sorts of different templates that probably activities that you're used to doing on a whiteboard or maybe even on a flip chart. And a lot of times you'll write titles at the top, and then each person has a pile of sticky notes, and you write your ideas on a sticky note and stick it in a specific place on the whiteboard based on, on what you're trying to accomplish. So we look at something like a brainstorming template, and basically they've already created a lot of the tools for us so that we don't have to manually build the rules and the couple of task lists for the agenda and follow-ups and a bunch of sticky notes for the ideas. But once we're in here, we can go to, apparently this one's a type 1. So we can add agenda items, and you can see we've got these likes. So individual users can come in and actually like the ideas. So if you're trying to vote, you can use the likes to vote. And of course you can change, IT project, or maybe we want to have a marketing project, which one we want to do first. And everyone will want to do the IT project, obviously, because it's so much cooler. And then you can do follow-ups, same concept. So maybe this first one is contact IT, and we can assign it to one of the people on the meeting. Create project plan. And I'm just randomly assigning them. These are not real. These aren't, these are just making things up. But then inside of our ideas, each person can be writing ideas here. So we've got a 1, a 2, a 3, and a 4. I'm very creative today. And now, so I told you we would kind of look at these. You can copy a note and then paste it in. It went down here. And now I lost it. Additionally, with this, you can pick your background color. So just for fun, odd numbers are blue, even numbers are green. And you still have the thumbs up, so you can still like them. You can still get the voting happening on these. You can move them around, you can cut them. And also, there's also alt text. which will add to your accessibility. Which is in here. We have an accessibility checker. And it'll tell us that we have a whole bunch of stuff that's not accessible. It's got every little piece that we've made. And all of that is not accessible because the only thing we put alt text on was that one sticky note. Which is great if you have a team member who needs the accessibility for one reason or another. Let's see, 25 after. All right, cool. We're good. So that's one of the templates. Scroll through, test out the different templates and just see what they do. They've been used. They were created by people who use them. So they seem to be working really well, and they seem to be well planned and well thought out. All right, so then last but not least, definitely not least, we've got the hamburger menu up here on the right, the settings menu. Let's slide over just a bit. So these options at the top are basically how you interact with the whiteboard. The active pen is turning on the pen. If you turn off the pen, first of all, you'll notice that your toolbar at the bottom gets a lot smaller. And you have to specifically select things to do with your mouse. I suggest keeping active pen on if you have a pen. Ink to shape and ink to table, these are awesome tools. So you might have noticed when I did the @ earlier, this isn't kind of an @ symbol, but if you have an @ and a circle, an A and a circle, there you go. That one turned into an actual circle. And it's an object, it's different than text. So that's the ink to shape. Got that one to work too. That's ink to shape, and you can turn that off if you want to not let it do that on on its own. In addition, the ink to table is great when you're trying to separate things or categorize things, kind of like the sticky note grouping. So you start with a square, and when you draw lines through it, it actually creates more grid space. I think that's pretty cool, and they were smart enough to gray out the top row as your header row. And then when you do things inside of here, it will grow with you. Cool? Now, if you want them to all be the same size, that's a different question, and I don't believe that they have a way to set the grid to a certain spacing and sizing because of the automatic growth. You can also, inside of here, you can come back in and paste in a picture. And let's see if it'll be happy today. It is not. I should know to test that before I actually try to show it to you. You're supposed to be able to put the pictures in the grid and have it stick. Which it is not doing today. So we're going to move on. Pretend that never happened. Object snapping is very similar to any like graphics tools. It'll snap to, you can see the grid when I move around. It'll snap to the grid. That helps you with things like turning items sideways. You see when you get to a 90-degree angle here, it'll just kind of snap in place. Snap. That's helpful. When Whiteboard first came out, it didn't have object snapping, and so there were things consistently at a 3-degree angle. All right, format background. We'll skip the middle section. Format background. You can add the grid lines or the graphing or just the dots to give you a general idea. Keep it solid. You can change the color for the developers who really like that dark mode. Toolbar location. This was heavily requested on user voice. I prefer it at the bottom, but some people prefer it on the sides. And basically, they're trying to make it, as user-friendly as possible. Clear canvas, we're not going to click that button, but that basically erases the whole canvas. So you don't have to spend minutes erasing their whole whiteboard. And we talked about accessibility checker. So now at the end of a normal whiteboarding meeting, you're in a conference room, it gets to be right up on the top of the hour, someone's knocking on the door saying, hey, get out, we've got a meeting in here. And you're like, oh no, I've got all this stuff on the whiteboard. And so someone grabs their phone, takes a picture of the whiteboard, and then you go to a different conference room and you rewrite everything on the whiteboard, or someone sends an email out with a picture, with the attached picture. The beauty of this whiteboard is that while we're all remote, we can all be working on the whiteboard together from our own homes or from our own offices. But at the same time, you can maintain, once the meeting ends, this sharing doesn't end until I tell it to end. So I can go in and I can unshare it with everybody if I decide that that's a need. But until then, it just stays shared, and everyone can still access it at any time. So if we move to a different, air quote, different conference room, really, or just a different time, it's lunchtime, everyone leaves, we come back at 1, we still have the whiteboard, it's still intact, and we just keep moving on from there. But when the meeting is fully completed, we may need to send an email summary. That's new and cool, and it'll send the information, it'll send a picture. Export simply exports it to either a PNG file or an SVG file based on what you need. If you just need to share a picture, just send a ping. But if you specifically need it to be scalable, maybe someone's going to print it on a plotter or something, you'll definitely want the SVG. Or you can post it to Teams. And when you say post to Teams, it'll pull up the teams that you have availability or accessibility to. And you say post it to the team in the general channel. And we're going to call it M365 Cali and post it. And it's posted. All right, so how does someone find the whiteboard? If you click the back arrow, this is your whiteboard dashboard or landing page. And so this has the different whiteboards in it. So you can see I've presented this a few times out of here. And you can rename the slide or the whiteboard so that you know which whiteboard you're looking at. You can also from here see who has permissions in it. And so maybe once I'm done with the presentation or done with the meeting, then I want to go through and I want to change everyone to read only so that it becomes a permanent record. And this is where anyone else that walks or that opens up Whiteboard, if they get to this page, they will see specifically the whiteboards that they have been either they've created or have been shared with them. And they'll just see them just like this. And you also have the export option here as well. And you can invite more participants straight from this screen. So let's see if I can pull up the team. Nope, because I'm logged into the other tenant. All right, so inside of Teams, what will happen is in the team channel, it will show up as when you export to Teams, it'll show up as a post like in your chat with a link to it, which will open up Whiteboard, the app Whiteboard. You can also copy the URL for the Whiteboard. Which used to be an option right there. Yay, more changes. Invite. Here we go. Create sharing link. Create sharing link. Well, let's see if it copied and just didn't say it. It did not. That's new. So this usually pops up a little text box with an actual URL in it, and you would copy and paste that into like a new tab in your team. And that is another way to share it inside of a team. Let's see. All right, so that's the condensed version of the Whiteboard session. Once again, make sure you guys thank all the sponsors and all the tech people that made this all possible. This is a great opportunity for people to get together and share information and learn. And without these people, this obviously wouldn't be able to happen. And again, feel free to scan the QR code and get on the Smarter Consulting distribution list, and we'll get you information about the Kansas City Office 365 user group. And with that, if you have questions, feel free to do something. Raise your hand or ask questions. I see questions. Oh, look, lots of questions. Can you insert soundtracks like pictures? I don't think so. Let's see, all the way back. Please, okay. Any comparison between this whiteboard feature and the pen writing option when using OneNote? Never mind, I already see advantages. Good, I'm glad you see advantages. Yes, the inking team is using the same inking tools for Whiteboard and for OneNote. So that's very, it's the same inking tools. What you can do inside of one or the other, is obviously has differences based on the use case for OneNote versus the use case for Whiteboard. I don't believe you can insert a soundtrack. That'd be fun though. Be cool if their presence was evidenced via Teams. Oh, you're talking about the presence of the users. Yeah, that would be cool if it had like the little red dot or something saying that they were here. That'd be really cool. So user voice or whiteboard.uservoice.com. That is, they are paying attention to it. It may seem like they're not at sometimes, but then every once in a while they'll go through and mark like 20 of them as being worked on. So yeah, whiteboard.uservoice.com. Let's see. I build all this. Can I export it? Can I copy and paste it into a Word project or other app? Okay, so as far as exporting, we talked about exporting and the fact that you can export it as an image. The way that I create the new one, I have this template right here that has the basic slides, and I literally just do a Control-A, Control-C for copy, go back out, create a new whiteboard, and Control-V. I haven't tried copying that into Word, but we'll do that now because that's an excellent question. Yeah, that works. So yeah, you can at least copy it into Word, and I would assume you can copy it into, like, Outlook does the similar concept here. So PowerPoint probably would do the same thing. No idea about project. Can you move the stickies outside of the template frame? I believe so. Also, I was told 2 years ago by the Whiteboard product team, imagine a world in which you could automatically sort them by color. So let's see what happens here. And the idea there was, once we've set all these colors, it'd be great if there was a little button at the top that said sort by color, and then it puts all the white ones together and the blue ones together and the green ones together. But let's see, let's take this number 2. Yes, you can drag it outside of the frame. That was for Christopher. Let's see, Stacy, when you say multiple people can use it at the same time, does it mean that only one person can type at once? No, I actually mean that multiple people can write. And normally during my session, I will have at least 2 other people join in, and we actually go through we go through multiple templates, and they actually start typing and writing and stuff while I'm talking. And yeah, we can literally all be writing at the same time. Oh, look at that. Someone typed there. I'm guessing that was Julie, since I keep seeing the JB up here at the top. So yeah, I didn't type that, but they can be typing there while I'm over here writing or typing on other things. Yeah, and I saw it just popped up over on the green one. It popped up and said Julie, which is pretty cool. How do you launch this whiteboard app? Oh, that's an excellent question. I probably should have started with that. I go here and I type whiteboard. It's in the App Store. It's a Windows 10 app technically, but you can also find it in your app launcher in your Office 365. If you leave a whiteboard, can you join it again later at the next meeting? If you have left the whiteboard, can you actually leave the whiteboard? I'm the owner of these whiteboards, so I don't know that I can. If I remove you from the whiteboard, I can add you back in. But yeah, so yeah, if you've been removed, like I kicked you out of this meeting, I can re-invite you to the other meeting. Oh, oh, I didn't. Oh, wow. Good call. Thanks to whoever pointed out that I'm only sharing whiteboard. Let me share the screen instead. So one of the things I did was paste it into Word. And it looks correct in Word. The other thing I did was right here, I just typed whiteboard. So hopefully you can see that now. And yeah, once you launch it, then you'll have to log in, of course, with your Office 365 account. But you can, so if you have an actual Office 365 account like through work, you can use that. If you don't have one through work, then you can also sign up for the free personal account, which you can then use Whiteboard in as well. There is a web version of the Whiteboard. It's not very good. Let's see if I can pull up whiteboard.microsoft.com. So then it wants your login credentials, but there is a web version, and it is not as fully functional as the Whiteboard desktop app. I much prefer the desktop app because it has all of the abilities. There is also an iOS app, which the iOS app has more functionality than the online web app. The Whiteboard is basically a file location. So as long as you have the link and it hasn't been deleted, you should have access. Correct. That's another thing. So in this, I was trying to get this, create a sharing link, because this one should pop up and give me options like anyone with the link, kind of like in SharePoint sharing or OneDrive sharing. Anyone with the link can access it, or only people who have been invited can access it. But this is also a good place to point out, it is only for people on the same tenant. So if you share it in a Teams meeting with people outside of the tenant, the people outside the tenant cannot access the Whiteboard. You have to have a tenant login to be able to access the Whiteboard. Yeah, all right, and here I'll go ahead and share that too, make sure everyone can see it. So this looks like the web app, and it's got, you can see that the toolbar is a lot smaller. There are a lot fewer features on the web app than there are in the desktop app. All right. Any other questions? If you do not see it in the app launcher, the tenant admin has not enabled it yet. Correct, Lionel. Yes, that is correct. It does have to be enabled at the tenant level, and it can be enabled, much like the other apps, it can be enabled for one person at a time, or it can be enabled tenant-wide. So yeah, if you don't have it in the app launcher, it needs to be enabled at the tenant level. And this is a great opportunity to convince your boss to buy you a stylus. All right, anything else? So if I have a meeting with people outside, then I need to add them to, I had a feeling that would be a question. They have to have a @yourtenant.com email address, or they have to have a, yeah, they have to have a login to your tenant.